We all experience moments where we feel like the topic of conversation in rooms we haven't even entered, or where our reputations seem to be taking on a life of their own without our permission. This can be incredibly unsettling for the average person who is just trying to do their best and get through the day without unnecessary drama. The reality is that people will always have opinions, and sometimes those opinions are based on total misunderstandings or deliberate distortions of the truth. When you find yourself in the middle of a social storm, the most important thing you can do is stay grounded in your own reality. You cannot control the whispers or the stories that others choose to tell, but you can control how much weight you give them in your own heart. Your worth is not a public vote, and it is not something that can be decided by a group of people who don't actually know the complexities of your journey. When you are dealing with individuals who thrive on creating conflict or spreading misinformation, it is easy to feel like you need to jump into the fray and defend yourself at every turn. You might feel a desperate urge to correct every lie or explain your side of the story to anyone who will listen, hoping that if they just understand the facts, the problem will go away. However, this often leads to a cycle of exhaustion because manipulative people aren't usually interested in the facts. They are interested in the reaction. By constantly explaining yourself, you are inadvertently giving them the power to set the agenda for your life. The most effective way to handle this kind of pressure is to become less reactive and more selective about where you spend your mental energy. You do not owe an explanation for your character to people who are committed to misunderstanding you for their own entertainment or benefit. Choosing to remain silent and focused on your own path is not a sign of weakness, but a demonstration of profound self-respect and maturity. Toxic dynamics frequently rely on keeping you in a state of high alert, making you feel as though any move you make could be interpreted as a threat or a reason for further judgment. This creates a stifling environment where you might start to second guess your own instincts or hide your true self just to avoid being a target. Over time, this constant self-censorship can lead to deep confusion about who you actually are and what you stand for. To break free from this, you must realize that you are not responsible for managing the perceptions of others, especially those who use intimidation or guilt as a weapon. Your primary duty is to be honest with yourself and to live in a way that aligns with your personal values, regardless of how others choose to label you. When you stop trying to be safe for people who are fundamentally unsafe for you, you regain the freedom to breathe and grow at your own pace. Confusion is a very natural part of the human experience, especially when you are trying to balance your own growth with the loud, conflicting messages of the world around you. We are often told that we need to be assertive, but not aggressive, kind, but not a doormat, and successful, but not boastful. These contradictions can leave you feeling like you are failing no matter what you do, which is exactly how manipulation takes root. It makes you easier to sway when you aren't sure of your own footing. To clear this mental fog, it is helpful to strip away the complex advice and go back to the basic question of what makes you feel steady and calm. You don't need a massive strategy to improve your life. You just need to start making small choices that favor your peace over other people's drama. Whether that means leaving a toxic group chat or finally saying no to an obligation that drains you, these small acts of clarity build a much stronger foundation over time. Self-improvement is often portrayed as a grand transformation that happens in a gym or a seminar, but for most people, it happens in the quiet moments of daily decision-making. It is the choice to speak to yourself with kindness when you've made a mistake, rather than joining in on the chorus of criticism you might hear from the outside. It is the decision to keep your integrity, even when it would be easier to take a shortcut or join in on a rumor. This kind of growth isn't always visible to the crowd, and it doesn't usually get much applause. But it is the only thing that actually changes the quality of your life. When you focus on being a person you can actually respect in the mirror, the noise of the world becomes much easier to tune out. You start to see that the most important test you will ever face is the one you set for yourself. Can you remain a decent person when the world around you is being anything but? Dealing with a reputation that feels out of your control is a common struggle in the age of constant communication and digital noise. People love to categorize others because it makes them feel like they have a handle on things, even if their labels are completely inaccurate. If people are starting to see you as someone who is difficult or not to be messed with, it might simply be because you have started to set boundaries that they don't like. Often, when a person who used to be a people pleaser finally starts standing up for themselves, they are labeled as the problem. You have to be okay with being the villain in the story of someone who wanted to use you. Their negative labels are often just a reaction to your new found strength and your refusal to be manipulated. Don't let their descriptions change the way you see your own heart, because as long as you are acting with fairness and kindness, their labels carry no real weight.